Meeting will come to order, please. Johanna, would you read the statement of compliance?
The notice requirements of the Open Public Meeting Act for this meeting have been satisfied. A copy of the annual meeting notice was sent to the press of Atlantic City, Star Ledger, posted on the bulletin board in the municipal building, the municipal website, and filed in the office of the municipal clerk. Please turn off all cell phones.
Thank you. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Attention, salute. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Johanna, call the roll, please.
Mayor Becker?
Here.
Commissioner Amadeo?
Here.
Commissioner Blumberg?
I am here.
We will begin as usual with the engineer's report. Ed?
Thank you, Mayor. And as usual, we'll start with our dredging projects, items A and B. So on item A, actually on item A and B, there's really no update to report here. We're just waiting on DEP to give us some feedback, in particular on on item A. One of the open questions is, are they going to require us to update our survey data that we performed years ago? There was a comment on that, and that's kind of one of the open comments that hasn't been addressed yet. On item B, Roger and I were just talking about this. There is a open question with Army Corps on whether or not they'll let us submit this as a habitat restoration project, and whether or not we have the material to properly fill that hole. So we're waiting for their feedback in order to move forward in that fashion. On item C, which is Winchester Avenue, this is the project that we're going to revise and rebid. The bids came in high on this. This is our 2022 state aid project. So we just met 2 days ago, was it? Or a day ago? Yes, it was yesterday? Okay. Yesterday. Time flies. So we're going to move forward with revising this project, putting it out to bid, again with a revised drainage pipe system that should be a little more cost effective. On item D, which is the roof replacement over at the Margate Library, this is pending the HVAC work, and we are still waiting for that updated quote through the co-op. We did get our test results, and we're just waiting on that updated quote. On item E, the CRS update is a work in progress. We're working with Jim on that.
Dennis.
Sure.
Ed.
Yep.
Brandon is going to meet with me at the car sometime next week, and we're going to bring in Nick too.
Okay, good.
Okay.
Yeah, so I think that's also for item F, right, the flood warning and response plan. So those two kind of go together. So sounds like we're going to have a meeting to go through the work product that we've got put together so far, and then we'll keep that those two projects moving. On item G, which is our GIS hosting service, this task is essentially complete. I believe we've set up all of the city's users that will be able to log in and access the GIS data through the web-based system. So at this point, we'll just be providing ongoing support, you know, for anyone that might be having technical issues, or if we want to add any additional data to the system. But this is up and running, and Frank, your guys, I think, have access to be able to use the database, which is good. And so this will probably come off the list, but again, we'll be assisting as needed, just with technical support. Item H is new to this list, although it is related to an ongoing project, which is our water meter replacement program. So this has been stuck in a little bit of a limbo state. We do have funding set aside through the COVID money that we received to do the first phase of the meter replacement, but the balance of the meters are going to be paid for through an iBank application that includes 50% principal forgiveness. So essentially it's a 50-50 grant versus loan. We have the funds to move forward with phase one, but iBank, who is going to fund phase two, is just asking for some information that they need to give us the green light to move forward with phase one. So it's a little complicated and complex, but we're going to jump in and help to get this thing moving, and hopefully the first milestone is to get them to give us the thumbs up so we can move forward with the part that we already have the funds for. So that's the goal. So we'll keep you updated on that progress. Item I is our running list of grants received. I reported at the last meeting, and I believe we've unofficially confirmed that we did receive the $50,000 award for the SIG Rim restrooms. So that'll be a coming attraction for construction sometime in the fall or winter. So we'll keep an eye on that. We're waiting for our official notice of award. And then I added to the list here the CDBG application we just submitted for the Benson Avenue Street End bulkhead cut-through, which will be one of our final ADA access cut-throughs on the beach street ends. Under miscellaneous, there's just a note here that the DOT has opened up the 2024 municipal aid application period, so we will work with the city to identify what project we want to submit, and typically Mr. Vitella also will work with us to submit a second grant application under one of the other categories, such as safe streets to transit or bikeways or one of those categories. So we'll work with Jim on that as well. Jumping down to our construction projects, open maintenance bonds, we actually have one coming up in June, so we'll get out there and do our inspection on Thurlow and Bayshore to make sure everything is addressed if there are any issues before the maintenance bond expires. In our project in closeout list, we did add 2 more projects to that list, which is good news. It means that the work's complete, the punch list is complete, and those 2 projects are the 2022 curb and gutter program and the last round of the bulkhead cut-throughs at Knight and Union. So all of that work is done, the punch list is done. At this point, it's just paperwork to get these projects closed out. We finally do have a confirmed installation week for the HVAC units over at the library. Contractors telling us that the week of the 15th of this month that they'll be able to finally install those units on the roof. We've been waiting for those for months. And so once we get that done, then we can really take a hard look at the roof project and get that scheduled as well. On the municipal building interior renovation project, we're still waiting on the contractor to wrap up his punch list, final painting and touch-up. I should say preliminary punch list. There are some items that we may want to tack on at the end of the project here. So once he gets his final cleanup and painting done, we'll go in, we'll do a final punch list, get that to the contractor so we can get that project finally finalized. So we'll keep you updated on that. On item O, the 2021 road program, that work is complete and the contractor is just working on some punch list items, so this will be moving into closeout very shortly. We talked about item P, which is the water meter replacement project, which is tied to the iBank application. Our tennis court project, item Q, is moving along nicely. They got the coating done. They're just working on the striping now, and then we'll get the nets up. So that project is making good progress. Over at the batting cages at Sig Rim, that work is also in progress. The demolition and the construction has started, so we're on schedule there. The Wall of Fame project we talked about at past meetings where we were looking at potentially some volunteer labor and or donations to build that wall. We did authorize Al Fariazi, who's in town working on another project, to construct the foundation for the wall. So I believe they may have even been out there today. I wasn't over there, but I know that they were planning on working this week. 2022 road program is the Fariazi job, and they are making good progress. This project is scheduled to be wrapped up in mid-June. You can see the notes on the report, which is that all the water services are complete. They're almost wrapped up on the concrete work, and it looks like the road work will be starting soon. So they're making real good progress on that road program. And then the last item on here is the flood mitigation work at this building, which we had our pre-construction meeting, and we're just waiting on a schedule from the contractor based on the delivery schedule for some of the custom order materials that need to come in on this job. And that concludes my report.
Any questions for Mr. Dennis?
Oh, can I ask you 2 questions?
Sure you can.
Just swear you in first.
On the GIS, I'm very curious on that global information system. Is that something that everybody can take a look at? Is that just tax map, elevation? What is those?
So a couple years ago, we did a comprehensive inventory of all the city's sewer, sanitary sewer, water utilities, and storm sewer utilities for the entire city. So every asset was located and tagged with an identifier. So every manhole, inlet, valve, pipe, it's all been tagged, identified. The down measurements have been input. So Frank's guys use that day to day if they go out to check a manhole or they need to locate a valve to shut down a water main. So we've set up certain people within the city to be able to access very detailed information, but there is the capability, such as the utility information, but there are also other layers on there, like zoning, that type flood information, those types of layers can be made available to the public for informational purposes.
Will it be flood elevations on there, like East Street?
The possibilities really are endless because it's a mapping database, so you can affiliate any piece of data with any property. It's just a matter of what data we want to have in there and what we want to make available to the public.
Well, that would really be fantastic
Sure.
if you have that, because I'm seeing that now down in Florida.
Yep.
They're mandating that now in Lee County, and they're just starting it up. But once it's in place, every surveyor, every architect can use that and
Yep.
rely on it.
Yep.
So that's a big thing. I think only Margate's doing this, from what I understand. I don't think anybody else is
We
doing
probably
it.
have the most comprehensive database on the island. Yeah, I think so.
That's really great. The other question, I'm a little bit worried about the DEP now. They're saying because they've taken so long to get our permits, they now want us to do additional surveying?
So it's always been a possibility.
Bathymetrics or
They
what?
have not indicated that that's going to happen, but they just haven't given us the green light that it's not going to happen. So we're asking for the green light so we can wrap this up and get the permit approved. So.
Do you have an estimated date for the permit?
Oh, well, once we get that answer, what we need to do is if you remember, they confirmed our limits. So now that they confirmed our limits,
Yes.
we now just need to wrap up the plans, which will just take a couple weeks, and then send it in for final review. So we're close.
So we're very close.
We're very close. Yep.
Thanks, Ed. Thank
You're
you,
welcome.
Mayor.
That's 2 words you thought you'd never hear, right?
Well, we don't have it yet. You ain't got it till you got it.
You got it.
We'll see.
Cool. All right. Any other questions? Mike, okay, why don't we go to department head reports, and Scott, since you're warmed up, you can start.
Well, actually, I'm worn out. I really don't have that much. I did get the signed conservation easement that we have to give to the Historic Trust for the Lucy the Elephant Committee that's trying to get that $500,000 grant. That was a condition. I spoke to them today. We've got it fully signed. I think they're happy. We had to give them things like the original deed for Lucy the Elephant, which is actually, not Lucy, but the property, which is a 1932 deed. And so that is, I've emailed them a copy, and if they're satisfied with everything, they'll tell me where to send the original copies for execution. There's already been a resolution passed authorizing that execution. So if we get that, that'll be a $500,000 grant that will go towards the most recent Lucy project. So that's a pretty big deal. I mean, it's really moving forward. Other than that, I really don't have anything else. I know we're working on one to trying to help somebody with a water line easement, but Ken and I, and Roger and Jimmy, we're on that. We're going to probably work out a deal where the fellow can move his line over so he can put a new foundation in, but in a city easement. But we'll modify that. Really, that's all I have right now.
Hey, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Frank?
Saturday's citywide cleanup, garage sale weekend, and we will have our crew in for the cleanup on Sunday, which starts a little later in the morning and give people a chance to get their stuff out onto the curb. This week we were over at this municipal building. We power washed the whole front of the entrance of the building, and we'll be doing some painting over there. We've been on the beach all week with this weather and the way the wind's blowing. Everything we did previous to that has been erased. The sand is all over the place, but we've been down there moving sand every day. We're putting down Moby mats. Next thing, we'll start putting down the trash cans and getting ready for the summer season. That's about it. That's all I have.
Thank you, Frank.
Sure.
Jim?
I'd like to thank all three of you for working with you for I don't know how many years now, but it was a wonderful experience, and I don't know what else to say, but I wish the best for everybody moving forward. I'd like to thank Frank. The City Hall looks great, and it hasn't looked that good in a while. We had I'd like to thank Ed, too, Ed, for the emergency electrical service we got hooked up today on Gladstone Avenue. Your guy called me, and we got the electrical inspector to sign a permit, and got an electric company over there, got the power back on today, and we got a happy resident. That's all I have.
Roger?
Ditto. I have nothing new to report. Nothing is impending that haven't been discussed.
You blew your last chance with me. Shame on you. Chief?
I'll just be brief. Just one quick thing I want to put on the record. Last week we had a retirement of Nancy Edge. She was a dispatcher. She worked for the city from 1983 until last Friday, so she had a 40-year career. Nancy was a cornerstone of our employees in our building, and her legacy goes back to her father, Roy Bakke, who was a lieutenant with the police department, got hired. We were looking for the right date, but we figure it's around 1960. So between Nancy and her father, there's a long history of working for the city and the police department, and Nancy will be missed. We wish her a very happy retirement. She's earned it. And like I said, a lot of change. Our dispatch center in the police department, we didn't have an opening for 20 years. In the last 4 years, we've replaced everybody. So it just goes to show there's a whole turnover that's been going along, and it's probably going to be happening in the police department in the next year also. So a lot of changes. That's all I have.
Thank you, Chief. Ken?
Thank you, Mayor. I just have two items. Resolution 103, it's that time of the year where you authorize the street fairs and the sidewalk sales. Begins this weekend, running through May through November, and then the merchants in the commercial districts can put their tables out and the racks out, June through August. So that's Resolution 103. 108 is awarding a contract to Cynthia Cotton to provide human resource services, consulting services, which will include civil service support as well. The contract is not to exceed $6,500, which is a pretty significant savings from previous, consulting services. And that's all I have. Thank you.
Everybody's short today. Lisa?
I'm going to be brief as well, okay? I just wanted to provide some clarification for each of the commissioners in regards to the budget amendment. I had mentioned at last meeting that we would not need to re-advertise after the examiner at the state examined it further. It came to our attention that there was a requirement for a debt service payment on our bond anticipation notes that had to be added, and that's on the utility, the water and sewer utility budget, not in the current fund, that it needed to be added. And the reason it needed to be added is because although previously we were scheduled to issue bonds this year, because we normally have a bond sale about every 5 years, because of the interest rates, how they've been, and they're a little volatile right now, we've been advised by our auditor and financial advisor to hold off. So rather than issue the bonds and pay off our notes, we're most likely going to roll over our bond anticipation notes. And after a few years of rolling them over, you're required to make a principal payment. And it's because that payment exceeded 1% of the appropriations, we have to amend and re-advertise. So at the special meeting for next week, there'll be a budget hearing just on the amendment itself, okay? And that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you, Lisa. Andrew?
Okay, I'm happy to report that our summer camps are nearly full for the summer. I also wanted to report that our beach tag sales through the end of April are up 18% this year, which is great news. And our tags continue to be on sale 7 days a week at the pavilion between 9 and 3. And that's all I have.
Thank you. Chief Adams?
Thank you, Mayor. Not really much to report from the fire department, but I want to echo Jimmy and Roger and just say thank you to the current administration. It's been a pleasure with the fire department working with you over the years. We've come a long way with our equipment and our apparatus and everything, and it wouldn't be without the help and cooperation of the current administration. You know, Mayor Becker, we go back 16 years that you've been here. Commissioner Amadeo has been public safety for 8, and prior to that, prior to Mayor Becker becoming public safety, it was Commissioner Blumberg. So we just want to, from the fire department, we want to say thank you. We wish you, Mayor Becker and Commissioner Amadeo, the best moving forward, and we look forward to continuing our great working relationship with the commission that we've always had. So thank you.
Thank you, man. Thank you very much. How is Johanna?
Okay, our election is on May 9th. Polls open at 6 a.m. They close at 8 a.m. or 8 p.m. If anyone's interested to vote by mail, they must go out to Mays Landing to the county clerk's office. They can fill out the application there and then turn it in immediately. We are having a special meeting for the budget on May 11th at 4 p.m. in this building. And that's about all I have.
Thank you, guys. John, you have anything? Nope. Maury, you have anything?
Nothing to report, Mayor.
Okay, at this point, we'll open for public comment. Would anyone care to comment on anything that was discussed here today? Is there a motion to close public comment?
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Mayor Becker,
Yes.
Commissioner Amadeo,
Yes.
Commissioner Blumberg.
Yes,
Is there a motion to adjourn this meeting?
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Mayor Becker,
Yes.
Commissioner Amadeo.
Yes.
Commissioner Blumberg.
Yes.
Now, wait a minute, now I want to get a picture here, because this is our last workshop. So you guys,
Do you want to smile?
How about if you stand behind
got-
him and we'll get
I'd like to get a little closer to the mayor, if you could.
Oh, come on.
Just for the, hey, look, Margate Storage Society, you know.
How's that better?
Here we go.
Do you want us to wave goodbye or what?
If you're smiling, I'm gonna take a bunch of these pictures.
Come on.
Wait a minute, I'm.
What are you gonna do with it?
No, maybe Danny, I'll have you help me take this picture. You got your credit card blocking the lens.